Hello, my fellow comic book collectors. It's Alan, the Comic Collector Geek, and this is it. This is the video that you've been waiting for. It is my top 10 biggest comics in my collection, most expensive books based on price, purely on price. These are the ones. This is the list. But before I do my list, I just want to shout out 4 channels that because last time I was supposed to shout out 2, but I forgot. So sorry about that. But I'm going to shout out 4 channels that I'd like to see their top 50 list. So this is a bit of a tag video because I'm going to shout out 4 more channels that I'd love to see their top 50 books in their collection based on price. So the first one would be Alex the Comic Hoarder, who actually was the one that gave me the idea way back when. It was like way back when, a few years back. He did a shout out where he said, hey, it'd be cool to see top 50 books. And so I had to mention him. So he's number 1. He's, on this list. Next one would be Ryan from Automatic Comics. He has a lot of great Golden Age books, and he has like a very defined top 50 books in his collection that are sort of his keeper list that he calls it, and sometimes he replaces those books. So I'd love to see what that list is. what are those big books that he's keeping on his top 50 list? And the next one would be a channel that actually doesn't have a YouTube channel, and he's a good friend of mine, and it's Steven or Collecto6 on Instagram. And I'd love to see maybe he could do a reel of his top 50 books. I'd love to see that. I think it'd be very cool. So he would be one you'd have to check out on Instagram. I'll link all these people in the description so you can check out their channels. And the last one would be Lunch Money Comics, or Mike from Lunch Money Comics. And I'd love to see what he's, gotten and his top 50. I know that he has X-Men 1. That's a pretty big one. And he's got some pretty great stuff that he's sort of used the hobby to kind of build up to, which is pretty impressive. So love to see those 4 channels do their top 50 comics, and it'd be very cool. Okay, whether they will after me saying this, I don't know, but I am trying. Okay, so let's get into my top 10 after the last. If you've watched the other 4 parts, you'll see that I've been sort of building up the values in the books. So it started out with the top 50, the 50 to 40. They were around 2,000 to 2,500. Then it went, and then to get into my top 40, it was books that were over 2,600. And then to get into my top 30, the books had to be over $3,000. And then to get into my top 20, it had to be over $4,600. Now, to get into my top 10, the books have to be over $10,000. So these are all books that are over $10,000. And actually, some of these books had pretty major price corrections. And I'll get into that with the very first book. This book was higher up on the list before, but it's really come down a lot, and probably because there was a movie with this character and it didn't really perform that well, but I liked it. I actually liked the movie. But it is Showcase number 4, and this is the first appearance of the Silver Age Flash, or Barry Allen's first appearance. I actually enjoyed the Flash movie. I thought it was very well done. Sadly, it didn't get the love. I think mainly because of the actor. I think, though actually he did a good job, but I think a lot of people were upset with the actor, and therefore, he has a really messed up personal life. So I think that's why it didn't do well. There was a lot of that negativity associated to the movie. I try to look at things separately, and I thought he did a good performance in the movie. And I really enjoyed the movie. Now, this book had gone up in 2022. It had its record at $2,600, $26,000, I should say, $26,000 for a 2.0. Now this book goes for around $10,000. So it's really, really, really dropped. So this was much higher on the list before, but it's as I said, it's cooled off a lot since then. But still, I'm quite happy to have it on the list. And this is let me tell you a little bit more about this book. It's from 1956, so very close. Like if you look at the stamp, it's like massive. that's always a sign of early Silver Age. So 1956. It is a cover by Joe Kubert and Carmen Infantino, and is the first appearance and origin of the Flash, Barry Allen, first Silver Age DC superhero, and it's the first appearance of Iris West and the Turtle. Now, this book is also significant because it's not just the first appearance of the Flash, it is the first superhero, like Silver Age book. So this is the book that really launched the Silver Age in many ways. Because before this book, superheroes had waned in popularity, and this book really kind of re-energized the whole market, and was actually one of the things that motivated Marvel to go back to producing superhero books. So very important book, showcase number 4. So really love that book. Really, really hard one to get to. It's such a hard book to find. I was super excited when I got it. Next book is one that, if anyone knows my collection, they would know this is going to be on the list. And this one really hasn't changed in value. There's just never many sales for this book, in this grade even. And it's one where actually there was a recent Heritage auction sale. As I'm recording this video, it just completed today, where I think it was like a 7.0 that sold for, I think it was pretty expensive, or was it a higher grade? It was a really expensive one. It's going to probably be on my list on the weekend. I'll be talking about it more, but I have to get all the data for it. But it just sold literally today, and it was a higher grade copy. So this one is low grade, not nearly as expensive, but it is a cool book. This is Sensation Comics #1. And this is actually the first cover appearance of Wonder Woman. It is the first book dedicated to Wonder Woman as well. So it's really her first title, even though it's not titled Wonder Woman. And this one's very interesting. It's a 0.5 blue label, and it's missing the centerfold. So that's a really common flaw with this book. It's one where, they didn't have proper staples back then, that often didn't grab that centerfold. And if you look at the spine, I mean, it is pretty rough. You can see how rough that is. And imagine that's along where the staple would be. Obviously, the staple wasn't kind of grabbing onto that centerfold very well, and just popped out. So such a shame, but allowed me to afford it, actually. So yeah, this one is Wonder Woman Begins, second appearance. That's another key. Origin and first appearance of Wildcat. Now, it's also the first appearance of Mr. Terrific as well. And it's, what does it say? It doesn't actually say who the cover artist is. That's really odd. I think it is like H.G. Peters, though. H.G. Peter, I mean. But I'm not sure. It doesn't say. It's really weird. Why doesn't it say who the cover is? That's really dumb. It might, yeah. It doesn't say. So it's really weird. I always thought it was H.G. Peter, though. So yeah, so just a great book. Cool one to have in my collection. It is one of what I consider the 3 big Wonder Woman books, and you'll probably see 2 more from that 3 big Wonder Woman books. So this is the first of them. That's Sensation Comics #1. And the next book on the list is another Silver Age book. Silver Age is doing quite well in these ones. This one actually, despite many of the books from the Silver Age have tumbled, this one kind of held its own, but not in this grade. This one didn't perform that well. So this is Hulk #1. This first appearance of the Hulk. And this book, actually back in 2022, during the heights of COVID, went up to $21,000. Now it's since fallen from that. Now it goes for around $12,000 in a 2.0. But there have been some pretty strong sales in higher grades. This is still one of the harder marble keys to get from the Silver Age. But you know, it too got hurt by the price corrections. But still a great book. This is Marvel Comics 1962. It is the origin and the first appearance of the Incredible Hulk. First appearance of Rick Jones, Betty Ross, and General Ross. Stan Lee's story and George Russo's cover. And Jack Kirby cover as well. So this one, the interesting thing about it also is the fact that the Hulk is gray. He's, they tried using a gray Hulk. I think they were trying to, personally, I think they were trying to mimic Solomon Grundy kind of style, like Monster, where he's a little bit gray. And what happened was the grays, when they did it throughout the comic, would be just changing. It'd be like dark gray, light gray, you know, it's all over the place. So they didn't like the inconsistency that the gray offered in terms of color. So they decided to go with green, which they could do more consistently. And Hulk #2 is the first appearance of the Green Hulk. So this is the first appearance of the Gray Hulk, though. Just a really cool, iconic cover, too. So yeah, Incredible Hulk #1. Next one on the list is one that's new to the list. I didn't have this one when I first made the list. But this one is a recent pickup. And it's one that I was super excited to get. I paid up for it, though. Now, this one is Phantom Lady #17. It is restored, but even in this restored grade, it goes for about $14,400, which is what I paid for it. So, yeah, this is a pretty pricey book. It is one that is kind of considered to be Matt Baker's one of his more famous or popular or most desired covers. It is also a headlight cover. It's a bondage cover. She's all wrapped up in the ropes there. You know, and Phantom Lady 17 is considered to be the best cover of the run, probably. This one was also mentioned in The Seduction of the Innocent. It is one where when they created the Seduction of the Innocent book, this one was actually one of the few comics where they actually showed the cover in the actual book. So that makes it even more desired because it's such an iconic cover and notorious cover for the headlights. So just a really great book. What does it say? So this one was Phantom Lady 17, Fox Featured Syndicate 1948. Classic bondage cover used in Seduction of the Innocent. Matt Baker cover and art. And the restoration for this book is C2, which is amateur, and then moderate, kind of slight moderate level of restoration. Restoration includes small amount of color touch on cover, spine split sealed to cover, cleaned, cover reinforced, staples cleaned. So a lot of cleaning. So really minor restoration, but it's one of those ones where it can't be reversed. So yeah, but I love this book. I don't care that it's restored. I think it's a great book. Now, if it wasn't restored, it would go for a lot more, probably about 10 times more. So it is. I'm quite happy that it is restored because it allowed me to afford such a great book. And I've seen really low grades like 1.0s and that kind of range going for similar price. So I'd much rather have a 8.5 restored looking beautiful than a book that is basically barely there and have to pay the same amount for it. So I'm really happy to have this one. It just presents beautifully. It's a very cool book, iconic book in my collection. So now next one, number 6 on my list, is, or is it number 7? 10, 9, 8, 7. Oh, sorry. This is number 5. Oh, wow, we're getting down. No, number 6. It's number 6 on my list. It's like, gotta count. You know, it's like I lose track. So this one is just another really great book. This one is another restored book, actually. It doesn't say it in the most obvious way because it's CBCS, but it is trimmed. You'll see up there. Now, the trimming on this is so lame. It is the lamest trimming ever, but that's all that has been done to it. If you look in, I think, yeah, right. Yeah, it's right there. That little corner has been trimmed just a little bit. It's like a little bit up. That's it. That's the trimming. It's been trimmed. That's it. So it's like that little corner, little bit of a trimming, like maybe less than like quarter of an inch, somewhere around there. So very little trimming, but it's been trimmed, makes it restored. Because of that, the value is kind of killed on it. It goes for around, its peak, even restored, 7.0 was going for around $36,800, and I should have sold it for that, but I didn't. That was back in 2022. Now it's going for around $15,000. Still, still a pretty impressive price. And the reason this book commands such big money is it is the first appearance of Iron Man, kind of like one of those iconic characters that people have really loved. I mean, his portrayal in the movies, he actually had a very fitting end in the movies. Like just Robert Downey Jr. really captured the character and made people love him. So and he had a good end. A lot of the other characters that were in the movies didn't really get such a great end, but he did. Now I'll read what it is in this. First appearance and origin of Iron Man. First appearance of death of Professor Yinsen, and first appearance of Wong Chu. And the cover is by Jack Kirby and Don Heck, and Stan Lee's story inside, and Larry Lieber. So yeah, just a cool book. Suspense, Tales of Suspense, number 39. First Iron Man. Okay, so that's that one. Next one on the list is another recent pickup for my collection. I was pretty excited to get this one in my collection because actually I had lost out on another copy of the same book. It was like a 0.5 or 1.0 and it went for like 10,000 or something. It's like, it was really beat up. But I tried bidding on it. It just kept on going. I was like, oh, okay, I'm done. It's going too much. This one I paid actually more though. This one I paid 18. I think I paid 14,000. Now it's worth around 18,000. And it is Detective Comics number 38. It is the first appearance of Robin, and it's a great first appearance. You got Robin kind of going through the paper circle. I don't know what they're called, and basically it's like, surprise, here I am. And this book actually, every time since this book, Robin and Batman always appear together whenever Batman appears. So there was a few appearances where Robin doesn't appear with Batman, but he appears by himself. But Batman always appears with Robin after this cover. So this is Bob Kane. Actually, there was a few others before. I mean, this one that Robin wasn't on, obviously, but after this, always Robin. Now, it says, origin and first appearance of Robin, Dick Grayson. It is Bill Finger and Jerry Siegel's story, and it's Bob Kane and Jerry Robinson cover and art. So just a very iconic book. I mean, this one, Robin is probably the most famous sidekick in comics. I mean, I can't think of any other character that would be more prominent in terms of being the sidekick. He is kind of the definition of the sidekick. And he's probably an A-list character because of that, even though he is a sidekick. Now this one is A5, so which means that it's a professional but extensive restoration. And that was very common. With these bigger books, generally they would get restored because people would want them to present as nicely as possible. And this one has restoration that includes color touch, pieces added, tear seals, cover cleaned, and reinforced. So these are the kind of things that you do when you're trying to conserve a book. You just you clean the cover. It's like when you deal with documents, you clean them, you keep them away from dirt and all that kind of stuff, and you make them look better so you can actually read them. Cover reinforced, tear seals, all those things are things that are done to preserve the comic. And it's sad that because of that, it gets the purple label, and the purple label of death often is referred to. But for me, it meant that I could get this book in a much more affordable price. So as I said, this book goes for around $18,000 in a 7-up restored. Okay. So next one on the list is another big book. Obviously, all these are going to be big books. And this one actually also had probably one of the more dramatic falls in terms of comics. The comic, this comic, before COVID had sort of driven all the comics up through the roof, actually had its own sort of pre-COVID just crazy hype around the book's value. And so they had gone up quite a lot, and then they pulled back afterwards. This one now goes for around $18,500. And I'm hoping it keeps that because that's kind of almost what I paid for it. So this is an 8.5 of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #1. And it is the first appearance of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Splinter and Shredder. And it's a wraparound cover. And it is Kevin Eastman and Peter Laird story and art, Kevin Eastman cover. And it's a white pager. So just a great book, very iconic book, and just one that actually really, for me, signifies the Copper Age in terms of books, because it kind of launched a whole series of related kind of characters, like Usagi Yojimbo, and there was like a whole bunch of these anthropomorphic characters that came out after this one and the success of this one. So this is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, just a great book. And they've reprinted this book many, many times since this one has come out. Just a great one. That's a first printing. Okay, next one on the list is another one that has taken some pretty harsh loss in value. Oh, so yeah, sorry. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, goes for about 20,000 in this grade, and it was up to 30,000. I just want to correct that before I go on. Now the next one, as I said, during COVID, there was actually a massive sale where this book, for a brief time, became the most expensive comic of all. Or having realized the biggest price for any comic. And that drove the prices for this book insane. And it is Amazing Fantasy number 15, which is the first appearance of Spider-Man. And this is my 3.0 qualified book because it's missing a coupon. A coupon has been cut out from the interior. It doesn't affect story, but it is like a small coupon has been cut. Now, this book, even with the coupon removed, during the heights of COVID, was going for around $50,000. It's just really insane. It has since fallen from that. Now it goes for around 24,600. So just really lost a lot of value. I paid around 12,000 for it, so I'm still still sitting pretty on it, but it really went through a crazy price adjustment. I think it will recover over time, but it really has gone down. Now, this is the first origin and first appearance of Spider-Man, Peter Parker, first appearance of Uncle Ben and Aunt May. It is a Stan Lee story, Steve Ditko art, and Jack Kirby cover. Classic, very classic cover. So that's Amazing Fantasy number 15. AF15 is as it's most often referred to as. Okay, now we're down to the final two, and I was talking about the three big Wonder Woman books, and you probably, if you know my channel, you know that I really get into Wonder Woman, and basically the last two are Wonder Woman books. On the first one, actually, it's funny that they're sort of battling who is the number one, who's number two. Actually, am I telling the wrong numbers? Jeez. Oh, I'm so annoyed. Okay, let me correct a few things, because I don't have lines to sort of say what price is what. I'm going by like a visual. Okay, so this one actually had gone up to 30,000. Wait, let me just make sure I'm saying the right thing. 30,000, and now it's down to 20,000. So I was mistaken. Ignore the prices before. So this was 30,000 down to 20. Sorry for the mess up. Okay. Now the next one is All-Star Comics number 8, and this is a 2.5. It actually had a price correction as well. This is the first appearance of Wonder Woman. That's why it's one of the three big ones. It was up to 50,000, not the Ninja Turtles up to 50,000. No, it wasn't that. Or the Amazing Fantasy. That was not up that high. But this one was, where it was up to 50,000. Now it's dropped back down to 24,000. Now I paid 14 for this one. So this is worth now 24,600 in a 2.5. So it's gone down by half, which is pretty brutal. And it's probably because one of the reasons why this book had spiked was the second Wonder Woman movie was coming out, and people had high expectations for it, but it really underperformed. Really didn't do that well. It wasn't that good of a movie. Not like Wonder Woman 1, which was actually a great movie. But this is All-Star Comics number 8, is the origin and first appearance of Wonder Woman. Starman and Dr. Midnight join the JSA. Green Lantern becomes an honorary member. And it is E. Hibbard cover. So, just a great one. First appearance of Wonder Woman. Now, she's not on the cover. I showed you her first cover appearance in Sensation 1. But just a really great one. You got all the JSA showing up here on the cover. Okay, so last book is another Wonder Woman, and I'll get the prices right on this one. Now this one is another restored book, but even restored, when they're in such high grade, they can still command pretty high values. And this is Wonder Woman number 1. Now, Sensation number 1 is her first cover, and kind of it is her first series, but it wasn't her first titled series where it's really her name in the title. So this is Wonder Woman's first titled series. And it shows you the popularity of Wonder Woman, that she had really several titles under her belt. She was part of the All-Star Comics group, and she had her own title in Wonder Woman and Sensation Comics. So those three titles, and she was also in Comic Cavalcade. So just a very popular character for the Golden Age. This is, one of the big books. It actually has recently gone up in value. It's one of the few that has gone up on this list. Where originally in 2022 it was going for around 19,000. Now it goes for around 28,800. So it is gone up a lot. So it's actually past the All-Star 8 in terms of its value. Now this one has cover art by H.G. Peter and story by Charles Moulton, and he's the creator of Wonder Woman, and he's also the creator of the Lie Detector, and very interesting character, actually. And this is the origin of Wonder Woman retold, World War II cover. Okay, now I'll read what the restoration includes. Amateur restoration, small amount of color touch on cover, piece added, cover reinforced, staples, and cover cleaned, all 3 edges trimmed. So extensive restoration. So this is considered to be extensive, moderate, well, considered moderate, but still it's got a lot of restoration to it because of the edges trimmed. Just a very cool book, one of my favorite in my collection, actually, because I love the cover. I love just the iconic her riding through the no man's land and into the German trench, taking out all these machine gunners. I don't know how the horse survived. I mean, Wonder Woman is pretty impervious, but I don't think the horse would have that to it. So it's very, very interesting cover that way. But just a really great comic book, Wonder Woman #1 from 1942. Okay, so that has been my top 10 comics in my collection. I hope you enjoyed this video. Sorry for the mess up of some of the prices. I tried reading it correctly. I was a little bit off on that. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video though. And again, I hope that the 4 channels that I mentioned, Alex the Comic Hoarder, Ryan from Automatic Comics, and Collecto6 on Instagram, and Lunch Money Comics, Mike from Lunch Money Comics, take part in this tag. I'd love to see what they have in their collections. So again, thanks for watching. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe. And bye for now.